Hello, today I'd like to give you a preview of our brand new tracking system, Track Trail Live. So as a short potted history, RaceDrone has been our tracking system since 2014. That was originally set up to track both mobile phone users as well as GPS tracking devices as well. So that's had several iterations over the years, and most recently we've tried a Java interface on there. We've taken all of our learning in the last 6 years and put that into a completely new tracking platform. Now, the back end that you use to set up your events will remain the same. There has been a few changes to the way you set up events, but largely speaking, you'll still be accessing your admin panel via RaceDrone. And for the time being, you'll still be able to use the RaceDrone interface to view your events if you wish. But we've developed this brand new Track Trail Live system, which we think puts us right at the very forefront of GPS tracking technology and features. I'm going to show you a few of those features today. At the moment, this is just a preview. The system, although it's very nearly finished, is still missing a few key features, which I will mention. But let me take you through the interface at the moment. So this is the main screen, which you would see when viewing your interface. And as usual, you would see perhaps a route on there if you've added one or more GPX files or KML files. And you would also see your checkpoints. I should just point out at this point in time that the checkpoint design are not final. They've still got to be replaced with the original. Let me flip over to the older screen. This is the RaceDrone URL, and these are the usual icons, and those will be mirrored onto the new system soon. And you can of course choose the icons using the recent upgrade that went in, so you get to pick what these icons look like for all checkpoints if you do wish to add them. Okay, so back to the main interface. What we've got is the bar across the top, which, as well as the logo, the name of the event, contains the date and times that it's operational from. And up on the top right here, you have got the map choice. Now, there are now 20 different map types that you can choose from. So if I was to flip through a few of them, you've got your traditional Google Maps, and Google Maps can be satellite, and it could be map, and you can have a road map as well as a terrain. So there's 3 Google Map types. I'll come to Ordnance Survey last because that's got the most. OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap, there's only one type of map on OpenStreet, which is the one you can see here. So this is a bit of a mixture of a plain road map, but it does also show some tracks and trails on there as well. So it's quite useful, more useful than Google Maps if you are in the outdoors. Really nice maps are our very new ones, which are from Mapbox. Really pretty, very fast, responsive maps. There are about 10 or 12 we've got on here, which you can all choose from. So we've got streets, dark. There is a satellite version on here as well, an outdoors, bike, light, and the one we've left in for fun is pirate. I'm not entirely sure what you might use the pirate map for, but we've left that in just for some entertainment more so than anything else. Finally, the ones you're all familiar with, which are the Ordnance Survey maps. And if we start right the way back out, you've got the road map that you can see there. You've also got the outdoor maps, which are great because they allow you to zoom in, and as well as see the contours, you can get right in and see some buildings as well down there at that magnification. There is the light coloured one as well, and finally there is the leisure stack. And the leisure stack of maps will zoom right the way in from 1 in 250 to 1 in 100, and then 1 in 50 scale. And finally, if you zoom right the way in again, you'll get to the 1 in 25,000 scale. Okay, let me switch back over to the Mapbox maps. So there are all the map types which you can choose from. The important thing is that it will remember your map choice for 1 month after leaving it. So no more switching back and forward between your favorite map type. It will actually remember it, and you can select, as you've seen the map types from here. You can also select and deselect the route as you could on the previous version of RaceDrone to make your pre-planned route, or routes. If there's more than one, they would all be listed, disappear. Okay, let's move on to the next area of the interface. Up here, you've got home, which will bring you back to this page we're looking at the moment, and you've also got the leaderboard. If I log into the leaderboard, if your event has got checkpoints associated with it, then they will automatically appear on this leaderboard here across the top. And if you choose to add distances, and you can do that within your route management area, then they would appear on here shown in kilometers. You add them as miles, but it will convert these to kilometers once they're on there. So as your participants pass by each of these checkpoints, it will record a time within each one. And if the GPX file which you have added also contains some distance and elevation data, and that's only really used for races, but for those of you who are interested, I can show you how to generate one of those GPX files. You would start to get estimated times of arrival at your later checkpoints, and it would also show the distance that they've traveled in kilometers, as well as their average speed in kilometers per hour. All of that data is shown here. Most of this is primarily for races and not so much D&V or expeditions, but in case you are interested in any of those features, by all means speak to me and I can tell you how to generate your GPX file so it has elevation and distance data contained within it, so you could take advantage of some of these features. Let's go back. One more thing to mention: if you do put your checkpoints in there, there's a very useful little feature here which we're also extending out to the participants as well. You see a little Google navigation icon. If I click on this, if you were to use this on your mobile phone or any other device, it will launch Google Maps and route you from your current position to that location, i.e. it will route you from your local point to checkpoint 1 or checkpoint 2, or indeed to one of your participants. So it's a very quick and easy way of finding someone who phones up and says, I'm lost. You can instantly navigate to them using that feature. So that could come in quite handy. Okay, the final area to show you is the participants list. At the moment, the design of this might change a little bit, but largely speaking, it will be a dockable sidebar which appears and disappears when you click it. So if I click on this here, it will bring up a list of all the participants. If they have been grouped together, for example, you've got many participants, they might be male, female, or race admin, you can choose just to view a subsection of them in there, i.e. this is all the ladies, this was just the race administration, and this is everybody. You can search for individual people in there by typing the name and searching for it. And then finally, what you'll see here, you've got their bib number or tracker number, and you have got their name. The kilometers will show how many kilometers they've traveled if your file has got distance data associated, and there'll also be a couple of extra fields shown along here which are due to be added in the coming weeks, so I won't go into those at the moment, but they're basic things like country flags and things like that, more applicable to races than D&V. The final button you've got on here is the show path button. Now if this race was live right now, what it would do is it would show the recorded path live on the map. So let's say the participant was here, it would show in a black line the distance that the route that they've traveled so far up until that point, and also allows you to download it in GPX and KML file format. The good news about this GPX format is now fully compatible with Ordnance Survey and eDV. So once you've downloaded it, it will open up instantly in those applications and not require any additional conversion or modification. So hopefully that's explained what that does. Okay, now the participant flags themselves, there aren't any on here because this event isn't live until later on this evening, but I may show you them a little bit later on in this video. What you would see, the participant flag design has changed. I'm referring to this as no more teardrops. What do I mean by that? Well, the traditional shape of our participant icons has been a little teardrop shape. And although that's useful to pinpoint where they are on the map, what that doesn't tell you is any useful information about the direction of travel which they are going in at that given time. Whereas the brand new markers are circular, and just outside the circle is a very small little arrow, which shows you the direction of travel. A quick demonstration of that shape on this map here. Do you see this this icon here? This is the participant flag. If you hover over it, it gives you the remaining battery percentage, the long and latitude, the time of the last update. But importantly, can you see this little arrow on the top there? That's showing the direction of travel for that individual tracker. So at any point in time, you can see perhaps if a group has gone off or gone off astray somewhere, you can see which direction they were off heading into. So very, very useful at a glance feature. And the other thing you may notice is there's no more countdown in the corner of the screen. You used to get a countdown in the corner of the screen. Let's see if I can make that happen. There we go. So usually you would see this countdown in the corner of the screen, and every 60 seconds, every 5 minutes, whatever you've set it to, all of the markers would refresh and move all at the same time. Well, no longer with TrackTrail. The reason we call it TrackTrail Live is the real big innovation with this is that all of the markers move individually and instantly as soon as the data comes in. So if there was 100 trackers on here, you would constantly see each one of them currently moving, and I may be able to give you a demonstration of that later on. I may restart this video later on this evening when this event starts at 7 p.m. and show you how all of that happens. You'll see each individual marker moving, so you no longer have to wait for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. As that data comes in live, it gets instantly reflected onto the tracking screen. So it really gives you a true live view of what's going on, and is one of the reasons this makes it a very innovative tracking system. And you will have seen something similar for those of you who've ever used the Uber application, where you see all the little taxis moving around constantly on the map. This is the equivalent for the tracking world today. So or tracking system, our tracking system today. So hopefully that's giving you a decent overview. There are lots of other features to be added over the next few weeks, which I will go into when we release the full and final system. In the meantime, if you do want to test and try out this system, you can do. If you go into your event setup, when you go down and set up your event, you can choose which URL, choose TTL beta and save your event. And when you load the URL, it will put that same map. It will actually say TCP .racedrone rather than the track.trail.live URL, but it fundamentally will put you on this same page and allow you to test out the system. Just a word, we're still working on cross-browser setup, which means that we may not have completed all testing for all combinations of phones and mobile devices. So if you find one particular device, the flags aren't appearing, or something strange is happening with a font or anything along those lines, please do report it to us, and we will ensure that all these little bugs that only happen on certain browsers and phones are all patched before we make the system fully live. But feel free to have a test and have a play with it over the coming weeks. If you want to check out any of the events this weekend, there's one called the Snowdonia Slate Trail. So it's track.trail.live /event/Snowdonia Slate Trail. And there's another one called True Grit, all one word, no space. That starts tomorrow, which is Saturday the 22nd at 4 p.m. It's a mountain bike race that's taking place in Yorkshire, and that's from 4 p.m. tomorrow, and there's 100 riders on that event. So hopefully you'll see 100 riders making their way all around this course, so you'll get a really good idea of the capabilities and features of this tracking system, as well as give it a good test out on your various devices and see if you can find some bugs which we have yet to find. Hopefully that has given you a decent overview of the tracking system so far, and we look forward to hearing any feedback which you may have.